Hello, my name is Spencer, and this is going to be an update video for Starship Troopers Extermination, the class update. We're going to get right into it, talking about the 6 classes, what I like, what I don't like, improvements I'd like to see, and then we're going to get into general problems and suggestions with the game. So let's just get right into it, starting with the Medic class. Previously, when you played as the Operator class, you were given healing stims in the healing bot by default. The healing stims were a syringe that required you to be close to use, and you could use them on yourself to heal. With this update, instead of a syringe, you have a dart gun, which can heal at a distance, which is extremely useful. However, there are a few problems with it. What I was going to say is that the dart gun doesn't always heal. The darts don't consistently register the hit, and that this needs to be addressed. But now that I'm looking at this video slowed down, it looks like that I am ever so slightly off target. Close enough that in real time, I think the heals aren't working. I do think there should be a little bit more forgiveness in how close you have to be for the dart to hit, because I have several hours of footage playing. Consistently, I was noticing I don't think these heals are working properly. Like, they don't look like they're hitting, even though I'm certain that I'm aiming at the right spot. So I think this kind of needs to be addressed. There needs to be a little bit more wiggle room where you don't have to be like exactly precise, because the way players move around can be very erratic, and it makes it really difficult to hit those heals. And it doesn't feel nice, it doesn't feel fun, and it just kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like, what's going on? These darts aren't working. The darts revive players too, which is not something that I was aware of right away. I genuinely thought the darts were only for healing and you couldn't revive, and the whole point was that you either walk up to people to revive them, or you use the bot. I genuinely did not realize that you could use this dart to revive people. But anyway, it is nice to be able to revive people from a distance. You can see here I still didn't realize this. It took me a while to figure it out. And I thought I had to do this was just walk up to them and revive them or use the bot. But it is nice to revive at a distance. I know that now. I like that. Aiming down the sights with the dart gun is useless. The iron sights don't come up high enough, so you can't properly aim. The alignment of where the dart gun sights are when you aim down the sights should be brought up so that they're in line with your eyes. Now, I did manage to hit this shot somehow, but that was pure chance. If you try to aim with this thing consistently at a distance, this is not a good way to do it. Another problem is the health bars of players. I can't see the health of every player, and sometimes the health bar just never shows up. It doesn't matter how I look at them, at what distance I am, it just never shows up. This makes my job a lot more difficult because I can't determine if the person needs help. So what should happen is when I look at a player, their health should show up every time. Whatever the range of the healing darts is, let's say 10 meters, I should be able to see the health bars of everyone within 10 meters of me, no matter what. And for players out of range, you could display their health when it drops below a certain threshold, no matter the distance, or when you ADS at someone with your main guns or the healing dart, the player's health bar will show up. So even if you're not close to somebody within that 10-meter distance or whatever it is, you can still figure out if that person needs help. The healing bot has some problems too. Let me remind you of how it worked before. The bot used to have one charge before it goes on cooldown. When you use it, the bot will instantly revive players close to you, and then will stick around you for some time after this, following you wherever you go. And as you move around and get close enough to a downed player, the bot would automatically move to revive without any input from you, the player. And if the bot was active and you went down, it would revive you. Now, the medic bot has 3 charges with a short cooldown. I don't find myself waiting around for too long, which is nice for the charges to come back. When a player goes down, you need to aim and press Q at that player if you want to revive them. But there are 2 problems with this. Number 1 is that the bot often gets stuck on terrain and doesn't move far enough. The best place to be is in an elevated position with an unobstructed view, which is not always possible. Even when I aim down my sights directly at a downed player, the bot often and consistently falls short of where it needs to be. What should happen is that the downed player's revive counter should be highlighted in yellow or something when you look at them, so you know who you have selected. Then when you press Q, the bot will move towards that player. Number 2 is that my own drone does not revive me. If you hit Q on the ground right next to you as you're about to die, then the bot is active and it will revive you. But you can be dead on the ground with the bot floating above your corpse and it will not help you. It should always revive you if you have a charge. If you die with no charges, then someone else needs to help you. But you may have noticed early on in this clip, I had 3 charges. My bot should have revived me. Next is the On Your Feet perk, which is unlocked at level 11 and allows you to revive within a short distance and not need to be right on top of someone. The further away you are, the longer it takes to do the revive. The advantage, of course, being that you don't have to be right next to someone in order to get them up. And the closer you are, the faster the revive, which means that you're able to revive other players faster than any other class in the game, unless they have a health stim and can instantly revive that person. I think that this perk should be unlocked at a much lower level. You should not need to wait until level 11 to take advantage of something that makes the medic a lot more useful. Or, personally, I think they should scrap this perk entirely and make the medic class revive faster just on its own. Like, that's just an innate perk of playing the medic. They revive people faster. And wouldn't that make sense for the medic class to be able to walk up to someone, hold down the E button, and they revive that person faster? Again, unless somebody else has a health stim, but you might not have any. Wouldn't that make sense? I think that would make sense. In the next few clips, you're going to see me using the E-Pulse rifle, which is the second and only other primary weapon unlock for the medic, and it is incredibly weak. I have to unload half a magazine to kill one arachnid. It's supposed to be long range, and yet it has limited range despite what the stats say. I am unable to hit targets I should be able to hit, and I can see the energy laser round, whatever, stopping in midair. I have to continuously shoot at enemies I should be able to hit and get no hit markers. Supposedly, it has the same range as the Hawkeye and the Triple X rifles for the sniper class, but that is not true from what I have seen. And then there is the Pulse pistol, which has the same problem as the E-Pulse rifle in that it is mostly useless. It has the worst damage of the 3 pistols, no stagger, no stun, it is weak and provides no benefits. And if it's not going to stun or stagger, then it should do much more damage. Under no circumstance would you want to choose that pistol over one of the other 2, the Peacekeeper or the Emancipator, not the E-Pulse pistol. So the medic class was the class that I had the most to say about. I still have things to say about the other classes, and we're going to start with the engineer here. The nice thing about the engineer is that you repair buildings faster. So it's really nice. You can walk up to a bunker, a wall, whatever, and the repair happens so fast. It's extremely useful, good for building bases, good for building back up the base in between waves in horde mode, for instance. And you also have the ability to build certain structures outside of the normal building area for the base, which is also useful, but maybe a little game breaking. We can talk about that in a minute here. Now, the biggest problem that I have with the engineer is the flamethrower. It does very little damage. It feels like I have to hose down one arachnid forever for it to die, and the range is extremely short. I know it's a flamethrower, however, this weapon feels very weak. And let me just replay this clip again for you. I am right on top of this thing, and it is not setting on fire. I don't know if this is a glitch or this is due to the lack of range for this weapon, but I should absolutely be hitting that. I think the range and the damage for the flamethrower should be increased. Not by too much, but it feels a bit weak right now. And finally, the engineer has the ability to place buildings outside of the normal building zone. It's why this light pole is on top of this structure. And speaking of the light poles, this is a new addition. People were asking for the ability to have lights and light up areas so that they can see more easily at night. The spotlight is pretty good, that all that ground in front of us here is kind of highlighted or lit up. The only thing is that the limit for the light poles is 4. I was initially thinking double that to 8. I don't know if that would be too much, but it does feel like 4 is not really enough in my opinion. But overall, I do really like the light poles. I like the ability to build outside of the base, especially if you're trying to defend like the ore or the gas or something like that, or you're trying to reach a certain area. You can build things and reach things more easily. So there is a bit of a concern that this could be abused. I noticed in one of the games that I was playing, I don't have it recorded here, but it was on this same map, and people had built some walls outside of the base, and not all of, but a lot of the enemies were heading towards that and not towards the base, and people in the base were just sort of like shooting fish in a barrel and could easily take care of those enemies, and they're not threatening the base. So there's kind of a concern that this is a bit of a way to cheese the waves of enemies, because you just send out a bunch of structure or build up a bunch of structures outside the base, and then they go after those, and then everybody in the base can just shoot all the enemies with no threat to themselves. I'll have to see how this plays out, if this becomes like an actual issue where people are just like cheesing the waves or something, but a little bit of a concern. Next up is the Ranger class, which will be very short because I don't really have any problems with this class. I am playing an engineer in this clip, but I did want to talk about this weapon for the Ranger class, which I picked up. It's the TDW-99 SMG, and it seems very nice. It has a high rate of fire. Seems like a better Morita carbine. I don't know if it's actually better in terms of damage or not, but the rate of fire is very high. I do like this weapon. The only thing that I don't like about it is the iron sights on it. You probably saw that it has these like giant protrusions at the top of the weapon. So when you aim down the sights, it really narrows your view, and I just don't think it looks very good at all. I mean, I don't think that looks nice at all. So hopefully once I unlock this weapon for the Ranger class and can put a red dot sight on it, that will be better. But I really don't like that view. It's not game breaking or anything like that. It's just, it doesn't look nice. I do actually have some footage for the Ranger class here, and it does still have the boost pack, but it doesn't boost up, it boosts forward. So this can help you when you're running to get a little extra room, but what it's really good for is when you jump and boost, and you can go across larger gaps like that. Or if you're just on flat ground and you're trying to get away from a bunch of enemies chasing you, jump up, boost, and that will help you get ahead of any arachnids that are chasing after you. You can see here that I was boosting around a bit just to show you what this was like. You can chain the two boosts together and it comes back pretty quickly. And running on the ground and just doing a boost will get you a little bit further ahead, but like I said, jumping up first and then boosting will take you even further. And we have here the scan ability for the Ranger. This scan is centered on you. You get 3 charges, and you'll have to refill these at an ammo box. But it's nice to have this scan radiating from you, and then you can make sure that the enemies that are directly around yourself are the ones that have the bonus damage applied to them. On top of this ability, you have access to the scan beacon and the scan grenade. So there's a lot of scanning that you can do as this class. I do hope that in future updates they add more variety in the utilities instead of just scanning all the time, because it kind of makes the Ranger feel like a one-trick pony a little bit, because all they do is scan, scan, scan. And as useful as that is to get the bonus damage, I would like to see a little bit more variety in the play styles that are possible with this class. The Sniper class is next, and the Sniper has a perk called High Ground, which increases your damage for being above enemies. It says you get a maximum of 1.3 damage increase, but I don't know at what height you get that. And I think the best option would be a damage bonus indicator that shows up next to the hit markers. So when you hit enemies, a little number displays 1.0 to 1.3, and then players can get some idea of what their bonus damage is. Or I was thinking you could have a damage indicator like that, but have it be either to the left of or above the sniper rifle in your inventory, so that you know at a glance, this is how much bonus damage I'm doing based on the heights that I'm at currently. Because right now there's no way to know how high you need to be, and you might be in a situation where going higher would be overkill. You've got no reason to go that high. You're already at the maximum damage bonus that you can get. So having an indicator somewhere on the screen for that would be great. You can see that I'm using the LV visor, which it's just an accessibility thing. It highlights all enemies on the screen for you as long as they're in range. This is super useful at night, but it's also useful during the day if you have a hard time seeing the enemies. Don't really have anything to say about this. It's just useful. We have here the scan dart gun, which acts like a scan grenade, except it doesn't highlight a ton of enemies in one area. It'll highlight one enemy and like a couple others that are close to it or that are touching that particular enemy. And when you do this, those enemies take bonus damage. This is also something useful. You will have to get more charges for this from an ammo box. I think that's fine, probably. The one thing I will say about this is that the scan dart doesn't have a ton of range, so it might be useful to bump up the range of that utility so that it can be a little bit more useful. And finally, before this update, it was the Ranger class that had the upward boost, but now it is the Sniper that has this upward boost, which is, of course, very useful for getting up to these higher vantage points in the game. I, of course, would love to see more utilities, a greater variety of utilities for this class, so the Sniper can do a little more, a few more things. I'm not sure what I would add, but even if they don't add major things to this class, I think it's a pretty well-rounded class as it stands right now. That, of course, can change in the future, but it seems pretty good right now. The Demolisher is the next class. This is your big damage dealing class. You get the grenade launcher and the full auto shotgun as unlocks. Both are really great weapons. There's also this barrage ability where you do have to stand in place when you're going to select it, but you can spin around and move the barrage area around. And then when you take your hand off the Q button, you'll launch 3 grenades and do like an AoE damage effect with that ability. This is nice to be able to clear out crowds. It's a nice ability. Cooldown isn't too long. Very helpful. I like it. Other than that, the Demolisher is a nice class. I don't really see a ton of issues with it. So no suggestions right now. Next, we have the Guardian class, which is more of your defensive type class. You have a siege mode where you press the Q button and a 360-degree shield comes up around you, and it gives you a huge boost to your defense. It will break over time, but it can take quite a bit of a beating. I did sort of feel like in my limited time playing with the Guardian that even in siege mode, I felt a little squishier than I thought that I would, but I'll have to play with it more and see if that holds true over time. But it did feel a little bit weaker. You, of course, still have the saw weapon, which does a lot of stagger damage so that you can hold back groups of arachnids coming at you. Saw is always good. It's still good here. Then we have another unlockable weapon for the Guardian class. This is the ePulse 88 CSW. And you can think of this as a low rate of fire minigun that shoots energy rounds. It's essentially what it is. And I think it's nice. I think the higher damage but lower fire rate is a good trade-off. I don't think this weapon is too powerful or too weak. I think they did a good job with this weapon, so I don't really have much to say about it other than nice job. It's a nice weapon. So finally, we're going to move on to general suggestions and problems. Prior to this update, the team had unlimited respawns in every mode. The game now has a ticket system. If you run out, the game is over, regardless of how far along with the objective you are. I don't know how I feel about the ticket system. There was a game where we got pinned at the dropship and burned, I think, more than half of our tickets. There were modifiers active, which made this match more difficult, but you shouldn't be getting pinned at spawn like this. It's spawn camping. And when you're doing the spawn camping, that can be fun, but if you're on the receiving end, that's not fun. So I am fundamentally against spawn camping in any game, basically. I'm not exactly sure how to remedy this. I think one way you could do it is you could increase the amount of damage that the guns on the dropship are doing, or you could increase the number of guns that the dropship has. Either way, the effect would be enemies get cleared out much more easily, much faster in the immediate vicinity around the dropship. But then once you move out of that immediate area, you are then on your own and you have to, be able to push through all these enemies and figure things out for yourself as a team. I do see a bit of a problem with this, making the dropship guns more powerful, in that at the end of the game, when you're fleeing the base and trying to get out of there, if the dropship is so powerful that once you get within range of it at the end of the game, the tension goes way down, because the dropship will be able to clear out like all of these enemies. There's no tension, and I think that tension of trying to get out alive is part of the game. So I wouldn't want the guns to be too powerful, And I'm not quite sure what to do with this. Maybe there should be some kind of grace period at the beginning of the game where you have to wait until a certain number of players or a certain percentage of the total number of players have joined the game, and then enemies can start showing up full force, and it's up to all of the players to figure out, what do we do if we've got a bunch of people, a majority of the people at the base, but there's a few stragglers who are just joining the game and they're stuck at the dropship. Part of the teamwork aspect of this game that I think is important is being in a situation like that, saying, we need to get these people over here to the base. Let's take a squad or two, go over there, help get them back to the base safely. That's part of the game. I don't know exactly what the solution is, but those were a few suggestions that I have. Because getting stuck on the dropship right at the beginning and you're not able to really get to the objective without burning through a ton of tickets, like we're down to 9 right now, and we started with 25 or something, it feels bad, and it's not fun. The mission list here renews every 60 minutes, which I think is too long. I don't think that it should take that long to renew a mission. I know this is peer-to-peer multiplayer. It's not servers, although I would love to have servers, but I think the 60 minutes is too long to wait for new missions to show up, especially if you're not seeing anything on that list that you really want to play right now, on the map, at the difficulty level, and the mode that you want to play. So I think I was going to say it should be reduced to 30 minutes. I would be even more bold and say they should renew every 15 minutes. As I said, I am a fan of servers instead of peer-to-peer instanced multiplayer. I understand that it's a money thing, because it always is, but I like having the servers. You can choose the mode, the difficulty, the map, whatever you want to play on, and you could give players the ability to host their own servers, so after official support ends, which it will, give players the ability to keep playing with their own servers. And unless Offworld changes this, one day you will not be able to play Starship Troopers Extermination because official support will end, and that sucks. This happens with a lot of games, and that double sucks, which is why you should go watch Ross's video and go to stopkillinggames.com if you don't want this happening for future games. If you have multiplayer games that you want to keep playing, that you don't want companies to take away from you, go to stopkillinggames.com. I would like to talk about the weapon stats next, because they don't make sense here. So, if we look at the sniper, right? All 3 of these sniper rifles have the same range over here, right? We already know, because we talked about it, the E-Pulse rifle range is not accurate. You cannot hit targets with this E-Pulse rifle that you can with the XXX or the Hawkeye. That is simply not the case. But the range is at maximum for these. So why is it that with the flamethrower, it also has the same range, supposedly? The bar is all the way filled. Clearly, this is not the case. You can't hit targets with a sniper rifle and with the flamethrower. And this is also true for this E-Pulse 88 CSW, the minigun weapon for the Guardian class. It also has the range bar completely filled, which this is not accurate either. You can't hit targets with this weapon that you can with one of the sniper rifles. So I'm not sure what's going on with these weapon stats, at least with the range stats, but that needs to be fixed because that's not accurate. The other thing that is a little bit annoying is when you have a weapon equipped and you have all these attachments on here, and you decide to switch to a different weapon, and then decide, you know what, I actually want this one equipped, all of your attachments get unequipped. So you have to reattach them. And I can back out of here and go to a different class. I could go to the main menu, and I come back and I look at this, all the attachments are still there, but switching weapons takes off all the attachments. That should not be the case. If you have these attachments on this weapon, they should stay there whether you switch weapons or not. I don't know why that happens. I don't know if that's a glitch or an oversight, but that should be changed. I want to talk about weapon modifications now. Most of them don't... well, first of all, it's nice to have them. I'm glad that they added this, and I hope that they keep adding more to this. More choices for optics, magazine, internal stuff. Ammo types they don't have yet, but this is here. But what I want to talk about is most of these weapon modifications don't change what the weapon looks like. So if you add a different sight, obviously it will change what the weapon looks like. But something like an extended magazine, it doesn't actually change the size of this magazine. And I think that it should. I think these visual changes are important. Additionally, I think that these little icons, like the extended magazine and the quick reload, should be more visually distinct. So the extended magazine icon should be a longer magazine. You should be able to see that it's longer. And with the quick reload, you could add like 2 magazines next to each other. You could add like a little X2 text in here to indicate that this is a quick reload. And I know that a lot of people, some people watching this might think, oh, you're being so nitpicky, you're picking apart all these little things. No, I want to help the development of this game and any game that I make videos about, and these little details are important. It shows that the developer is paying attention. It adds to the level of detail and polish and overall quality for the game, which is why I kind of go on about all this little stuff so often, because I want the game and any game that I cover to be as polished and well made as possible, and these little details matter. And last but not least, everyone's favorite topic, performance. This game has a lot of performance problems. The lighting is one of the things that really jumped out at me after this update. You can see, looking at this footage, everything is pitch black. And I know it's nighttime, but it is pitch black. And the things that are lit up by your flashlights are so washed out. This looks hideous. It looks horrendous with the flashlights, and the spotlights do the same thing. Everything is washed out and it looks really bad. I don't know what's going on with the lighting, but they need to address this, because this is not right. And the funny thing is, this doesn't happen with every night mission either. Some night missions, I go to it and the lighting is fine. And it doesn't seem to be planet specific, I don't think, because this is on Valaka. I've also had these same lighting problems on Agni Prime. So I don't know what's going on, but the lighting is not right. I know that a lot of people have had problems with the performance of this game, with it being glitchy and stuttering, and people have problems running the game. Just overall, they have to play it on really low resolutions, and the graphical details have to be set very low in order for them to do anything. And it needs to be addressed, because a lot of these people have had these problems since, I guess, practically the beginning of early access. I haven't had a ton of issues with running the game. I did at one point crash, but I think I had my resolution set way too high, way higher than it should have been. But tons of people have had problems. People have been screaming about it for a long time. They need to fix the performance. So in the next update, Offworld, you need to focus on the performance of this game. And I'm going to get into a few other things that are problems here. But the next update has to focus on performance. No more content until you fix the performance of this game. One thing that I've noticed quite a bit of is bodies flying all over the place, specifically players' bodies, where even if there is an explosion that you would reasonably expect your body to go flying a little bit further, it should not be doing this. You should not be getting dragged across the map like this and hitting buildings and ragdolling off of them. This is too much. The bodies flying all over the place happens often enough that it is noticeable. And the only reason that this person's body didn't go further is because they hit that building over there and they couldn't go any further. But I've been killed, I've seen other people killed, and they go flying across the map. So people would have to go very far out from the base in order to get to them. I don't know what's causing this, but it does need to be fixed because it's not right. I had a problem at one point on Agni Prime where I got stuck inside the rock wall, and I think this was another one of those cases where I was killed, my body went flying, I happened to have the medical bot active at the time, so it followed me, revived me, but then I came back inside of the rock wall here, and I couldn't get out. I was trying to find some way that I could jump out or just move through it. I at one point took out a grenade thinking maybe this will kill me and then I can respawn that way. I ended up just having to redeploy anyway because I couldn't get out of this wall. I've never had this happen before. I don't know if it's happened to anybody else. I don't know if there's anywhere else where you could potentially get stuck inside the rock like this. But this is definitely something that should not happen. This is the only time that I've seen this happen, but I'm going to let the clip speak for itself.
Like, you know, there are
yeah, they
that
have
shoot into
machine
space.
guns and can take out a tiger by themselves very fast.
There's there's bugs that are AA, biological AA, so I don't
Just barely
in the lander.
Yeah, I've never seen that before, so I have to give it to Fleet again for fucking up.
Everybody get real close.
Dick's task, boys, Dick's task.
Yeah.
Get real
No,
close.
I have to stand on the ground, because I think it'll take off without you.
Everyone get in. I want to get myself better gear.
That's new.
What the fuck is this, dude?
I wonder what you were talking about.
Stack in the corners.
Yeah, stay away from the ground. I don't know if it'll lift off without you.
Somebody screenshot this and just put hashtag in development.
They landed too hard.
I'm trying to screenshot, but I switch it to like fucking print screen or something. I can't remember which one of those four over there that no one fucking uses ever.
Alright, who isn't in? We're still missing two.
Probably someone standing
Now
on a rock or something.
Get on top of us. There you go.
Back 'em in, troopers, all the way into the back.
Okay.
It left without us.
Oh
It left without us.
When you open up the map, or the menu for that matter, there is a transparency effect that's going on. So if you're trying to look at the map and look at the icons on the screen, you also have icons from in-game players and their class symbol show up on here, and it makes it kind of confusing to see what's happening because you've got a mix of icons that should be on the map and other icons that are in-game. And you can see the same thing with the menu here. All the little icons are floating around on the screen, and it's just distracting. I don't think there should be this transparency in these menus at all. There are three things that happen often, one of which are enemies popping in and out of existence. There doesn't seem to be any particular trigger for it. They'll be there, and then all of a sudden they're not, or an enemy will just pop up, be there, and it doesn't disappear, but it just comes out of nowhere. It's not specific to any one map or mode. It just seems to happen all the time. It's very distracting. And enemies go flying like they've been hit by knockback all the time. You'll be shooting an enemy and then it just slides across the ground, moves some distance. Sometimes it's really far, sometimes it's shorter. This happens all the time. It's really annoying when you're trying to shoot something and it just slides across the ground like that. The third issue, major issue with enemies, is that they will appear inside the base, which is someplace that they should never appear. They should always come up outside of the base, but this Grenadier just pops right in front of me. I'll add a fourth issue because I noticed it here and do remember this happening pretty often, is that enemies end up getting on top of walls like this tiger does right here, which should never happen. It defeats the purpose of the wall. The final problem that I've found is this infinite ammo glitch, and this goes back to the engineer's ability to build outside of the typical building area. You can see there are 2 ammo boxes here, and there's only 1 ammo box that is currently being used, taking up that slot of buildable ammo boxes. So there's 1 ammo box that's in the base where it should be, but then there's these 2 up here that don't count towards that total. And this is on Agni Prime. This is on one of the solid, indestructible structures on the map. I don't know if this is possible in other areas of this map and on Valaka. It might be, but this is definitely not okay. You can see it's the normal ammo boxes and it's the ammo for the machine guns. You can just come up here, build all this stuff, and you have infinite ammo. You can see the ammo stockpile all the way on the right side of the buildable screen is at 0 out of 4. None of these are counting towards the total. This definitely should not be the case, should not be happening. This needs to be fixed because this could easily be abused. And all you have to do, because anybody can get up here, all you have to do is build one of the watchtowers, and then people can climb up the ladder, and it's at just the right height that you can jump from the top of that tower onto this permanent building over here, and you have the infinite ammo. So definitely needs to be fixed. And that's pretty much it for this update video. I'm sure I didn't cover absolutely everything, every change, and everything that I'd like to see changed in future updates, but this is a good summary of everything that you need to know, everything that I think you should know about the game in its current state, and I'm looking forward to the future with this game. It's really nice to be back into the game. I do enjoy the 6 different classes. There's a lot more variety in the play styles. It feels like you can find exactly the class that you want to play as instead of having 3 classes and then you have to equip a bunch of different weapons and pieces of equipment and perks and stuff like that to get your play style. Now there are 6 pretty specific play styles. And while the game does still have a lot of performance issues that need to be fixed, I do feel confident that they will be fixed. Many people have been talking about all those problems that they're having with the game. I'm hoping that Offworld understands that, and in the next update will focus just on performance, and they'll keep working on the performance until they add more content later, which is what I want. I want the performance to be focused on. Once that's down and players are happy, they can run the game, no stuttering, no freezing, get rid of all these glitches with bodies flying all over the place and bugs disappearing, all that sort of stuff. I think this game is going to be really great. So thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next video.